Well, that was a lot of fun. The Knicks go on to win 114-113 in an overtime thriller against the Portland Trailblazers. Mikal Bridges, 33 points and a game-winning three at the buzzer. First three-pointer at the buzzer since R.J. Barrett. First shot overall at the buzzer since R.J. Barrett. But sports is great because you can change a narrative within 24 hours. You can change a narrative within a couple set of games. And it's funny, and this might turn into a Mikal Bridges video. You had early yesterday afternoon, the report came out from Stephen Bondi that Mikal Bridges was requesting less minutes in favor of the bench. Now, some saw it as, well, he's kind of selfish in that regard. You know, everybody else is playing high minutes. He hasn't justified trading 6 first-round picks for him. He hasn't played that well this year. He's been inconsistent, this, that, and the third. That's one perspective. The other perspective is this dude has played every single game of every single season. He's averaged the most minutes per game out of anybody in the league. He's susceptible, or at least he deserved the right to get some rest, like the rest of the starters as well. But at the same time, let's utilize the bench more. Give guys like Deuce McBride more minutes, which I've been at least trying to support for the past couple of games. Give these guys a rest, especially with Brunson out. You really don't want this team to appear hurt in the playoffs. You don't want them to just basically tumble into the playoffs. They need that energy. They need that endurance. They need that stamina. So how does Tom Thibodeau respond, you say? Tom Thibodeau responds by saying the conversation never happened. He goes on to say as well, a lot of wings play big minutes in this league. LeBron, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. That's, I think, what he brought up as examples. And the thing I say to that is, yeah, but they're a dime a dozen. LeBron James is a dime a dozen. Not even close to a dime a dozen because he's a generational player. Arguably second greatest player all time. Jason Tatum just won a championship with the Celtics. Jaylen Brown just won a championship with the Celtics. I don't agree with that perspective at all, and that's just showing how Tibbs was and is overall pretty stubborn with the minutes and not giving his bench more flow. Am I going to agree that, this roster is flawed in some areas? Absolutely. But as well, Tibbs should make use of Deuce McBride, who's been thriving at the back half of this year. With his three-point shooting, with his on-ball defense, his second half has been way better than his first half, I would argue. And you could use Deuce McBride to take minutes from Brunson, to take minutes from Bridges, to take minutes from Anunoby. And that's not a bad thing. It's, as I said, endurance, saving some energy and some stamina for the playoffs. That's what I think we're gearing towards if you really want to go on this deep playoff run. Now, a lot of fans have their perspectives and say, you know what, this team might only make it to the second round. I'm actually of the same opinion, but just build yourself out longer for a longer playoff run. Like, why kill these guys now with 30, 40-minute games? Give Deuce McBride some run. Give Cam Payne some run. Mikal Bridges, 33 points. I mean, phenomenal. Just phenomenal yesterday. Phenomenal run, and he saved his former Villanova teammate from being the reason why we lost. The sequence goes, the Knicks are up. I think they were up by 2 points. They might have been 1, actually. Josh Hart is looking off to inbound off a free throw main. Now, the Knicks had, I believe, 1 or 2 timeouts. There's only a certain amount of room you can move around when he's out of bounds trying to inbound the play. And it's true, I've never seen this called before. So Josh Hart moves around, and then the referees call a violation. Again, I've never seen that called before, but the Knicks had 1 to 2 timeouts in their pocket. So that was bad on Tibbs for the Knicks not using them at all. Just didn't make any sense. And then the Portland Trailblazers inbound the ball. It's a drive from the corner. I forget who was driving. Might have been Scoot Henderson. Drives to the basket. Denied by Mitchell Robinson. The ball goes on the weak side of the floor. Avdija picks it up. Josh Hart's out of position, and he fouls Avdija on the old-fashioned three-point play. Now, again, I love Josh Hart. I love what he brings to the team, the heart and the hustle. Pun intended. But at the same time, he makes some of the dumbest plays he makes some of the dumbest decisions possible. It is the epitome of the Walt Clyde Frazier saying, playing hard, but not smart. Josh, has those brain fart moments in critical situations like this, in critical situations on defense when he's just floating away from the perimeter. I love Josh Hart, but he's got to play better. And I think he's played better defensively, and he's now more confident to take threes, which I'm happy about. But the problem is defenses aren't guarding it. So in crunch time, I really think Tibbs could make that adjustment, say, hey, you know what, put Deuce McBride in if we need the shooting. Like, I get Josh Hart's purpose for size and defense and, grabbing those extra rebounds to do the dirty work. I completely get that. But from a statistical and analytical perspective, he just doesn't give the Knicks advantage offensively. Yes, he's taking the threes, as I said, but defenses aren't guarding him. You know who the defense is also not guarding? Precious Achiuwa. And I don't want to make this like a negative thing, but just some of the takeaways I noticed yesterday. First of all, before I get to the negative thing, is Karl-Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson really had a good night together. It wasn't so much of a disadvantage on the floor. Towns was still getting to the basket. Shooters were making their open shots with Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson was also doing a nice job on the boards as well. And I thought the defense was better. I just like the tandem. And a lot of Knicks fans were really curious to see what this tandem would look like, in terms of spacing, in terms of defense. Now you're putting Cat on the perimeter where he's less susceptible to get beaten inside because he has a bit of protection in the paint with Mitchell Robinson, his ability to block shots, and he did that well yesterday. Spacing is not so much a concern because Mitchell Robinson knows where to be in terms of, making passes, not so much as a hub, but making passes on the perimeter, being a screener. He's having an active role where he's not just floating out there like the person I'm going to mention next, that's Precious Achiuwa. I just don't understand why Tom Thibodeau's putting out these lineups like Precious and Cat, Precious and Mitch, Precious and Josh Hart, two non-spacers on the floor where the team's getting no advantage offensively. And that's not the worst part of it. It's the worst part is Precious is floating out to the three-point line. He's floating out to the three-point line like an NPC. And the defenses are just backing off and floating further and further away from the perimeter. Precious, you could take a three-point shot. You want to drive with that less than average handle to yours? Sure. You think you could pull up for a random fadeaway from the mid-range? Okay, you could do that. Driving the paint, getting into the paint, I don't think so. He'll at least be guarded in the paint. He'll have eyes on him on the paint as to where if he's floating on the perimeter, it's just going to screw up the spacing even more. But we'll get off the Precious Achiuwa thing real quick. Towns, I mentioned Karl-Anthony Towns and his play with Mitchell Robinson, how they worked well together. Also, Karl-Anthony Towns, got to give him a lot of credit. Put the Knicks up 3, put the Knicks up 6 in regulation with those key three-pointers. It sucks that the Knicks didn't win the game in regulation. Obviously, we saw a great moment in overtime with the Mikal Bridges 3. I thought Deuce McBride played well defensively and offensively. His three-pointer started to percolate a little bit late into the fourth quarter and in overtime, so that was key, giving some of the guys rest. OG Anunoby also played very well defensively. He was roving around. His three-pointers in the second half finally started to hit. And that's kind of the one of contributions I want to see. Mikal Bridges, I don't want to see him as the only scorer. I want other guys to contribute. Karl-Anthony Towns contributes in the fourth quarter with three-pointers. You have OG Anunoby contributing from 3 in overtime and in the second half. Can't be all on Bridges because it's just going to be easier for the defense to guard. And you want to make these role players, you want to put them in a position to succeed. Obviously, now, when they face the good teams, when they're in the playoffs, you just don't want to have it all on Bridges. And that's the thing when Brunson comes back. Run some plays for Bridges. Run some plays for OG Anunoby. Run some plays for Karl-Anthony Towns. Why just be locked in all on Brunson? Say, okay, Brunson, I'll give you the ball. Everybody else just play off him. There's got to be some sort of structure in the offense, and I think that's what some of big Knicks fans' gripes are with Tom Thibodeau. There has to be some sort of structure where these guys could play off him instead of just standing in the corner and just magically waiting for the ball and waiting for the defense to react to basically cut or get to the three-point line. Like, run multiple actions at a time. Why not? And that's what we're all asking of Thibodeau. Like, if you're asking for someone to rise while Jalen Brunson's out, it has to be Mikal Bridges. And boy, as I said earlier, you could change a narrative within a day. You could change a storyline within a day. That Mikal Bridges, Tom Thibodeau minutes thing, that storyline's basically a non-story now because of the way he just changed the perception in the snap of a finger. I can't snap. But a great, should the game have went overtime? No. But Mikal Bridges was the hero. And I think you could justify why fans are so hard at him, because you look at, the San Antonio game where I think he was putting up 50 points on Christmas. Mikal Bridges making clutch stops against the Bulls, the block against Nikola Vucevic. He's had some clutch moments this year. I think he blocked one of the Hawks players. I think he blocked a game-winning shot, or a shot that could have won the game for the Hawks. Game ended up going overtime. I think that was before the All-Star break, actually. But you look at these moments of Mikal Bridges and say, you know what? I want more. And it's right to want more, because he gave up 6 first-round picks for the guy. Not only to mention he hasn't shown up against Boston or Cleveland or Oklahoma City, but you also ask Tom Thibodeau, say, you know what? Let's put Mikal Bridges in a position to succeed. Run some plays for him while Jalen Brunson's on the bench. Give Bridges that control offensively. And to start, I actually tweeted this out. I'm like, oh boy, he's 0-3. He turned the ball over twice already. He put the ball in Bridges' hands. This is going to be a typical Mikal Bridges game where you'll see some hot, see him cold, but he doesn't get the job done. Well, he got the job done tonight, folks. And I'm more proud of it. Let's close the West Coast road trip with a win against Golden State on Saturday, ABC. I put an announcement out earlier that I'm looking to possibly do a stream or two next week. I have spring break off next week, so hopefully to make some more time for some more live content. But regardless, folks, thank you for supporting me and KnicksCast. We're about 15 subscribers away from the 100 mark. But if you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell so you don't want to go live or I drop a new video. Regardless, Knicks win on a Mikal Bridges game-winning buzzer beater. Let's go, Knicks.